Hello, my name is Sumner Nichols. I am a candidate for the school board in the city of Erie. We will get to my background and qualifications later, but what I first want to do is put forward three proposals for you to consider as voters in the city of Erie. The first one is I think that we should be electing school directors by district rather than at large in the city. At the current time, all 9 school directors are from the 5th and 6th Ward, which are south of 18th Street. The 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Ward do not have representatives on the school board. The school district is currently operating 10 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, and 2 high schools, a total of 15 schools. If the city were to be divided into 9 districts, each district would contain 1 or 2 schools within it, and the school director elected from that district would need to keep in touch with the 1 or 2 district schools located within his district, as well as the voters in that district. It would make this a more democratic process. Under this redistricting plan, the 5th and 6th Ward would still control the board since more than 60% of the voters are in those 2 wards, but areas north of 18th Street would also be represented. Be a more democratic process. I think it would result in there being more support for the school district. This plan can go into effect if it is approved by the school board. First, I'm going to present this plan to the city ward chairman. I am the ward chairman for the 4th Ward, which is the lower west side to the north side of West 8th Street. There are 6 ward chairmen. If I can obtain their approval, I will submit a letter to the board, which they will also support, and the school board can then consider and potentially approve this. It also could be approved by a petition of about 3,000 voters presented to court. I don't think that would be necessary. The second proposal I have for your consideration is I think the city should create an academic middle school. 20-some years ago, I was active as a citizen on a committee that resulted in the creation of the Collegiate Academy. There was a lot of resistance to this because of the fact that admission was going to be limited. Not everybody would be allowed to participate, but the school was approved and it has been a great success. It is our only school in the district which exceeds the norms for the state proficiency exams by a considerable amount. I think we need to build on that success and create an academic middle school. This would give an opportunity to the 10% of our elementary students who individually exceed the state proficiency averages to better their education. It's also an opportunity for the district to compete for students that are academically proficient who are currently attending schools such as parochial schools, charter schools, and private schools. This is something I will promote if I am elected to the board. The third proposal I want to put forward is one that would improve our schools. First of all, I think the most important thing that could happen to improve our district is beyond the control of the district or the county or the city, and that is we need to have a $15 minimum wage in Pennsylvania. That is not going to occur until the Democrats obtain control of the legislature, which has been for some time controlled by the Republicans. A $15 minimum wage would mean fewer people would have to work 2 jobs and exceed 40 hours a week just to get by. They'd have more time to spend with their children, and I think the children would benefit from that and their academic performance would improve. We can't control the minimum wage from here in Erie. But what is something we can control is how we allocate our school district budget. I have been a trustee of the Erie Day School for close to 20 years. And in the time I've observed that small school, what I think has been the keystone to their success is a student-to-teacher ratio of around 15 to 18. We need to do the same thing in the city school district. How can we fund this? We could fund that by increasing taxes. I don't think that that is necessary. What it does require is closing some schools to reduce the costs for administrators, maintenance staff, utilities, and repairs and improvements, and using the savings to hire more teachers. Teachers are important, not buildings. The district has 11,000 students, but currently has space for 15,500. The taxpayers are paying for this excess space of 4,500 students, and the students are not benefiting from it. The contractors are benefiting from this. The administrators are benefiting from this. The janitorial staff is benefiting from this. The utility companies are benefiting from this, but not the students or the taxpayers. Mr. Zogby, the financial administrator, in his report steers away from closing schools, although he does mention it as a possibility. He instead advocates for outsourcing the janitorial staff. I don't agree with this conclusion. The administrators and contractors and utility companies should also share in the pain of making the district more efficient. The janitors some years ago agreed to a dual-tier wage system, such as has been the subject of the recent strike at the locomotive plant. So the janitors did cooperate with the district. How are they rewarded? Now they are being singled out for outsourcing. I don't agree with it. Close some of these old buildings and consolidate and improve our educational system by improving the student-to-teacher ratio. As to my qualifications for this position, my background is this. I attended Harding, Gridley, and graduated from Strong Vincent long ago in 1968. I live in the Frontier District, 2 blocks from where I grew up in the Frontier area. My wife had the same education. She was an English teacher at Central and Collegiate, and then a guidance counselor. She passed in 2016. My 3 children had successful school experiences here in Erie. 1 child graduated from prep, 1 child graduated from Villa, and the youngest graduated from collegiate. All had excellent experiences in school, and all completed college in 4 years. I myself am a graduate of Allegheny College and the Cleveland Marshall College of Law. I have been practicing law in the city of Erie since 1978, and where Erie is too small to be too much of a specialist, I have concentrated in the business area. In the early 1980s, I passed the Certified Public Accountant's exam in 1 sitting, but I never obtained the certificate as it required working for 1 year as an accountant, and at that time I was practicing law. But accounting is of considerable assistance to an attorney who is in a business practice, and it is of considerable assistance to me if I am elected to the position of school director. I am familiar with numbers. I am able to analyze them. I've been working on it, and I find it quite interesting as there is a lot of financial information on the district provided on the website. I am a capable and experienced professional who can assist in moving the Erie City School District forward. I want to congratulate my classmate, Bob Casillo, who has been on the school board and has been involved in the struggles of the recent years and is now going to retire from the position. I am pleased with the progress the district made in the last few years in confronting the issues it had to deal with. But the district cannot use the taxpayers' money to compete with the charter schools. We need to accommodate the charter schools if they are successful and spend our money to improve the educational opportunities within the district, not just spend money to compete. I would ask for your vote on Election Day and appreciate it if you were able to make it through this whole presentation. Thank you.
Welcome. My name is Margaret Caldwell. I'm a news anchor at TalkErie.com, and I'm here to interview Holly Bowers.
Hi there.
She's a candidate for school board for the Erie School District. Hi, well, nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
Holly, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, about your background, where you grew up, and about your family and community.
Okay, well, I've been married to an amazing man for over 18 years, 19 years in August, and he's been super supportive of everything that I stick my hands into, and so he's definitely supportive of this endeavor as well. I have two sons, 15 and 13, so as you can imagine, my hands are full with two teenagers in the house. And, you know, I've been a lifelong resident of Erie. I moved away a couple times. I moved away for various reasons, but always drawn back here. I love this city and I love the people here, so I love being here in Erie. At what I do, I work as the marketing manager for a local financial firm, and I also I'm adjunct staff for a local organization, an Erie organization that helps individuals in crisis. So my role is I go in and I give students, we talk about relationships and we educate them on relationships. So, you know, we kind of try to get them before they're in that crisis mode, you know, before the unplanned pregnancy, before the STD or the toxic relationship. So I've really been enjoying my time with them. And as for the community, I'm involved in a few different areas. I'm with the Erie Christian Business Leaders Association. I'm also on the committee we do an annual prayer breakfast every year with the ECBLA. The Erie Christian Business Leaders Association. I also am on the task force for the National Day of Prayer for here in Erie, the Erie Open Table organization, and I'm also an elder in my church.
You're very busy.
I'm definitely a busy person, but you know, I'd love to help out wherever I can. So.
Sounds like it. So tell us why you're running for a seat on the Erie School Board.
That's a very good question. You know, it's definitely not something that I had originally thought I would ever be doing, not something I really sought out before. But really what I'm doing is I'm coming at this from a mom's point of view. As I already said, you know, I have two sons. My oldest is in the Erie school system. And while I see, you know, things that we're doing right, you know, there are things that we're doing right, absolutely, but I also see areas of concern that I would like to see addressed. So really I'm coming at this, and I feel like I would bring a fresh perspective where recently have transitioned into the public school system. And so, you know, coming in and looking at things with a fresh pair of eyes, I think could be a tremendous asset.
Definitely, it sounds like it could be. So you have had opportunities, as you said, to be in the city schools on a regular basis as a presentation specialist. Tell us a little bit about what you've learned Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, well, like I said, it's been a very interesting role that I've gotten to be a part of, and definitely loving it. I haven't been in the Erie schools as much as some other schools. I've gotten to see some Erie school classrooms, and then also other schools around other districts, Fort LaBeouf, Northeast,
Wow.
Harbor Creek. All kinds of different, teachers, students, and you know what? It's kind of the same everywhere. Everybody wants the best for these kids. The one thing that I really have, I feel blessed to be able to be in the classroom, see how these teachers interact with their students, and really, they're such hardworking individuals. They're really they're investing in their students. Many teachers. And I really think that we need to be able to support our teachers more. They really try to do everything they can to bring out the best in their students. But sometimes their hands are tied, really, or they just don't have any more to give because they've given everything. And so I think support of our teachers is a really important thing. One of the other things that I have seen through this role is just the amazing resiliency of these students. You see students come from such unfortunate circumstances, and yet, it's no different that whenever they see, somebody that really cares, they're just so open and willing to be loved by, individuals that actually care and want to pour into them. And we see that everywhere.
Wow, that's impressive. This kind of follows up on what you just said. Statistics for the Erie School District show that many students do come to school from challenging circumstances at home, and with the poverty level being one of the highest in the Commonwealth in the city of Erie. Talk about how you as a school board member and also as the school board policy itself could help those students.
There's a lot of areas to look at, obviously. There's never just one answer. But one of the ways that I think that we can make improvements is to strengthen our families. The family unit is so essential to our kids thriving, to being everything that they're created to be. And so I think that we really need to be supporting our families. And I'm loving to see how the community and our schools are partnering in some areas, and we're actually seeing this happen in limited amounts, but I would love to see that not only continue but to grow. The statistics show that if 3 things are in place, really only 3 things in place with a child or individual, that reduces the likelihood of an individual ending up in poverty all the way down to around 2%.
Wow.
Yeah, and those 3 things are graduating high school, getting a full-time job, and waiting until at least the age of 21 to be married and then have the baby, okay? And so those things, that starts in the home. And so we need to be strengthening our family units and really supporting families to grow healthy children, and the success rate would just soar for our kids.
Well, what do you see as policy? How could the school board be more direct in supporting those 3 elements that would help children not to end up in poverty?
Well, I think as school board, once again, I think that we need to look at some of the programs and the initiatives that are happening in the community that are already in place, that are not taking from the budget already, because once again, we have to make sure we can keep the budget solvent. So looking at things that are already in place, things that are already being done, and let's not only continue doing those things, but look to see where maybe we can, put some things in place where that can continue.
Okay. One of the things you mentioned was the community already partnering with the City of Erie School District, and one of the things that comes to my mind is the Serve Erie and all the work they've done at a number of schools throughout the district. Right. And they have plans again, I understand, for this summer to do more.
Oh yeah, Serve Erie is such an amazing organization. I mean, they're really working hard, and yes, they're partnering with the schools. They're improving the school system for the kids, for the teachers, and they're not costing our school system excess of the budget, okay? So what they're already doing is great, but even more than that, they're going into some neighborhoods that really need some extra help, and they're asking, what can we do to help? And so they're strengthening the family unit right there. And that's what I would love to see, once again, not only there, but continue in other areas. There have been multiple areas that do school church partnerships. I think, something like that, look into that and see if that is something that maybe would help as well.
Another program that's just coming to my mind is a program that the Erie City Mission holds for students, I think at Pyford Burley, an after-school type program. And they've had amazing results and
Absolutely.
Reports from teachers
Yes.
Saying that they've seen a huge difference with the students that have participated in that.
Yeah, at the Urban University, I believe it's called.
That's correct.
It is.
Correct. Thank you.
It's a great. I actually got a chance to go, and one of the things that they do is culinary skills. And they show these kids, how to prepare meals and how to serve meals and all that. And we actually got a chance to be at one of these meals that these students helped with, and the confidence level that these kids have obtained over the course of the time that they're in the program. Really, when we were talking with Rosemary Lackey, is one of those that are running the program, she says has been tremendous. And so we were really blessed to be there and to see that. And once again, those are the types of things that I think, hey, it's not costing anything extra to the school budget. Let's continue these programs.
Okay, sounds good. Now, as you kind of alluded to earlier, the Erie School District is facing some serious financial issues right now. The district was required to submit a financial improvement plan to the Secretary of Education in March, and that was returned for revision. The Secretary asked for clearer financial goals. What do you see as the reasons behind the district's financial distress? But more important, what actions could the school board take in the future to turn that situation around?
Okay, well, looking at the improvement plan, I've been reading over that, and they are kind of spelling out some clear steps that could be taken. They're recommended steps right now. They're just recommended. It looks like to be able to keep the budget solvent. Obviously, hard decisions have to be made. But what I think needs to happen is just going forward, we need to just keep reevaluating where we're spending, looking at places where maybe we're overspending, maybe bringing, once again, coming in from transferring into the public school system, bringing a fresh set of eyes, which is what I would be doing. I think sometimes when we look at problems for a long period of time and we're seeing the same issues come up over and over again, just being able to look at that with a fresh set of eyes and bringing a new perspective would be a tremendous asset.
Okay. Can you think of any more skills that you have that might be helpful to the board in reevaluating the financial situation?
One of the skills, I'm not sure I would have thought of it as a skill or a strength of mine, but I have been told that I am not afraid to ask questions. And so I think really just coming in and asking why, we're doing something a certain way. I think a lot of times we might fall into the trap of, well, we've always done it this way. And so maybe we're not looking at an issue or a problem from all sides. And sometimes just bringing attention to that by asking, well, why are we doing it this way? May be just what we need.
Okay. Do you have any final statements or comments you'd like to share with our viewers?
Well, one of the other things that I didn't mention earlier that I really do feel like needs to be mentioned as well was, when we're talking about strengthening families, home ownership in the city. I think if we can strengthen that, once again, through Serve Erie, through programs, that are already in place, but really bringing home ownership, which obviously brings the greater tax revenue and really can help stabilize the budget, the school budget, is really going to be key. And so, looking at that, making it so families are invested in the city, they're owning their own home, they're really strengthening that family unit once again.
That's really a good idea. Strengthening the budget by increasing the number of homeowners.
That's right.
I like it.
Thank
you, Holly.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Dennehy. I'm running for Erie City School Board Director. I grew up in North Tonawanda, New York, and am a product of the public school system there. I have been a resident of Erie, Pennsylvania for 13 years. To understand why I am running and what qualifies me to serve you, I want to share a little bit about my history. So I came to Erie to attend Mercyhurst University, where I received a bachelor's in arts in psychology. From there, I went to work for Sarah Reed Children's Center for 2 years, where I ran a classroom for children that had mental health diagnoses. I then went and worked at the Barber National Institute as middle management under their Family Support Services programming. And then 7 years ago, I left that to pursue self-employment. So I have been teaching artist, performing artist, and a choreographer ever since. A large piece of what I do is as a roster teaching artist through the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts. I go into schools and I teach the Pennsylvania State Standards for Education through dance. What that means is I'm teaching math, English language arts, science, and social studies through dance in school settings. Additionally, I work with community centers and social service organizations like the Parkinson's Partners of Northwestern Pennsylvania, LifeWorks Erie, the Alzheimer's Association, the City of Erie's Parks and Recs program, and the Inner City Neighborhood Art House to pursue their goals through customized dance education programming. Each year, I teach 1,200 to 1,500 of our inner city youth here in Erie, Pennsylvania. Of the 31 classes I teach each week, 28 of them are free to the participants. This is because I write grants and partner with organizations to make these programs possible. These classes mainly serve underserved and unserved populations. I share all of this because running for school board director is just an extension of the work I currently do in the community. As a Pennsylvania Council on the Arts roster teaching artist, I go into various schools, and as a result, I see the impact that arts education can have. I also have the privilege of seeing what works in different schools and where improvements can occur. Seeing the current inner workings of various school districts and being a creative problem solver, serving different facets makes me a great candidate for this position. I have identified 3 top objectives for my run for school board. And the first is to provide quality arts education for all of our students in all art forms: music, visual art, theater, and dance. Arts education teaches the 21st century learning skills of collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, and communication. These have been identified by employers as the skills needed to enter into the workforce. The second objective is to help make a more diverse teaching and administrative staff, a piece of which is to develop a quality mandated bias training for all current staff. The third objective is to identify a way to recognize, develop, and support the internal motivation for students to enjoy school and to foster the desire to be a lifelong learner by the 3rd grade. This, paired with more training for teachers in differentiated learning, would vastly improve our graduation rates in the long run. I am a person who knows our youth, who knows our community, and who knows how to partner with various people and organizations to make things happen. I love Erie and am committed to helping to make it a better place, to be a great city that attracts and keeps our residents. We must begin with our youth and provide them the best education we can to create fully engaged citizens. I hope that you will turn out on May 21st for the primaries and vote for me for Erie City School Board Director. Thank you very much. I am Jennifer Dennehy.
Good morning, Erie community. My name is Cynthia Muhammad, publisher of the Black Page Business Directing Resource Guide, in which we do promote community events. And we're here today with our candidate of the hour, the candidate for school board, Gwendolyn Cooley, who I've known since she came back from college. I remember her walking down the street in her cheerleading outfit and spending much time at Booker T. Washington Center. So Gwen, tell us why you're running for school board and anything you want to tell us at this time.
I'm running is due to the fact I want to give people a choice. I want them to understand that I will listen, that I will speak up for them when they can. There's no need to be afraid. I'm a person that's reachable. They can talk to me, and I will listen. I will reassure them of that. Some points I just want to touch on as a candidate is diversity in the workforce. Students have a tendency to learn when there's people that look like them standing in front of them or that they know they have access to within the building. So we want students to be teachers. We have to encourage them to look for those teachers that look like them. Diversity in the workplace is very important. Secondly, an appreciation of all parents, not just a few parents, but all parents. All parents make a difference. Without the parents, we'll have no students. Without the students, we have no school. So we have to make sure that we appreciate all parents. Career readiness for all students. Are all students coming out of high school ready? Are all students able to perform and pass the basic simple tests? Can they even read a job application? So career readiness is very important. We need to look at programs that's going to promote understanding and respect of one's culture. When I was growing up, we had the African American History Club. As I got older, I became the advisor to the African American History Club. And students from diverse backgrounds joined the African American History Club because they want to find out about their peers. So you have the African American History Club, the Spanish Club, the German Club, clubs that promoted understanding of one's culture and appreciation and respect.
Okay, great. And tell us some of the things you've done since you've been working here in the community.
Ooh, I retired from the Erie City School District after 25 and a half years. And within that time, I wore many hats. My main job was a parent involvement specialist, where I conducted home visits. I saw how the parents was living. I saw how the students was living. So I was the liaison, and I would go back to the schools and I would say, you know, this parent is kind of struggling. This student is kind of struggling, and inform them of the reasons why. So they can work with that student maybe a little differently. I was cheerleading coach for East High and Academy. I was a step team advisor at East High. I was program director And this was a program I think is very much needed in the schools. It was called the Best Friends. And it was a program that dealt with character building, helping the students say no to abstinence, drugs, sex, and alcohol, abstinence. And that's something that Elaine Bennett, whose husband was William Bennett, education czar, developed and creative. The message was you can be a friend. So within that, we talked about what is a friend? How can you be a friend? We exposed the young ladies to the arts, to culture. We traveled to Canada and saw the Lion King. We went to Harrisburg at the invite of the late state representative Linda Bepko Jones. And they got a chance to look at the state senators and representatives and see how bills were passed to know that I can one day grow up to be a state senator, a state representative. So we exposed the students to things which will enhance them. The Erie Philharmonic, they had an opportunity to hear and to see, to the Playhouse. The program was so successful that we introduced it to the young men, and they became best men. So they were exposed to the same thing we're exposing the young ladies to. They were getting the same message, abstinence. Say no to sex, drugs, and alcohol, because you don't want to damage your opportunity for success. There was just so much I've done. I was a program director for Miss Tawny, which was a local beauty pageant that helped the young ladies from 14 to 21 understand their greatness, their beauty, that they have the ability to step out there and say, look at me. I am beautiful, I am talented, I am gifted. So that was a program that helped uplift. And we need to go back to programs that uplift the students and make them feel good about themselves, because when they feel good about themselves, I don't have time, or they won't have time for a lot of the negativity, for a lot of the things that may cause and lead to violence.
Good, that's good. Tell us about your affiliation with the NAACP.
With the NAACP, I have served under various presidents as second vice president, third vice president, but my greatest joy was when I was the youth advisor for the NAACP Youth Council.
Good. And the many hats that you wore, and which one do you think best describes you and what you want to do in terms of serving the city?
In terms of serving the city, of the many hats I've worn, I just want to say that I want to empower the parents. I want to empower the students. And this is done by education, through workshops and training. I was an educational representative. I presented workshops all over the country, from the state, the region. And it was something to have parents stand up and say, I could do that? Yes, you can do that. So it's about empowering the parents. I wonder if parents even know that with the school schedule, when they give that student a schedule, if you don't agree with it, you can say, no, I want my child to be in algebra, trigonometry, geometry. I'm not settling for general math. Parents have a right to see their schedule and say, no, my child's going to college and I want him prepared. I want her to see that she can take chemistry. She can take biology, not just the basics, but we have to push, encourage, and motivate our students to success.
That's so important. I was working at GCAC as a parent rep and working with the parents, and it's so important. And what I found was that many times parents are afraid to speak up. For some reason, they don't want to speak up, so you'll be a voice for the people, is that right?
I have no problem in speaking. I would seek out the facts. I would make sure that if there's a question, I would find an answer. It's not about brushing off the parent. It's about saying, I don't know, and not being afraid to say, I don't know, but I will find the answer for you. Let me talk to someone. Too many times people give someone an answer, and it's not the correct answer. Do your homework, do your research. Then you come back and you say, this is what I found out. Let me share this with you.
I'd just like to say to our audience that I believe Gwen Cooley would be the best candidate for our school district. representing the parents and the children. That's very important, to empower them, to empower our city to be all it can be.
Yes.
Across the board, and embracing the diversity of the city, the cultures, is just so important, so very important. And I just want to thank you so much for stepping out, and I just want to do all I can to see that you get that position. I had listed something on Facebook today, and what I said, I don't know if anybody's aware of it, that we should do a bullet vote. You do a bullet vote when you go in, that means that person gets more votes than anybody else as opposed to just going in. I worked as voter registration at Booker T. Washington Center years ago. At the, what I noticed is that the people come in and they just go in and vote Democrat or to vote Republican. They should go in and look and see who's on the ballot and what that person offers. And we encourage everybody to do just that. And I think when they look at you, they'll find that you'll be the best candidate on the ballot. That's my position.
My ballot number is number 8. And with number 8, I'm not worried about it. I don't feel you have to be number 1 on the ballot to get elected. If you're about the people, for the people, your name will say that. They will recognize that, and they will look for your name, and they will vote. As a candidate, I believe that once we expose the children to the beauty of our region, some children have never even been to Niagara Falls, Chautauqua Lake. So we have to encourage our children to travel, to explore. We have to look at, they're not prisoners. They're students, they're like sponges. They're ready to soak up the knowledge that's being presented. We have to help those in education understand they're not a threat to them. So we need to prepare them to be able to explore, to express themselves, to find out that I can make a mistake, but I can get back up. I can be loud, but I'm not a threat to you. Maybe what we're doing is in challenging the students for their fullness. I took a group of students to the Bahamas.
Wonderful.
They were the high school students, and they saw the Bahamas in a different light. And the reason I said they saw it in a different light, they didn't only go as students on an educational trip, but I made a phone call. I belong to an organization, and I made a phone call. And the people from that organization came, and they took the students on a tour outside of the normal. They got a chance to see how the Bohemians were living. And they came back fired up. They came back and saying, you know what? I can make a difference. And some of them have been back 2 and 3 times, and they volunteered. So once you expose students to something, they can and they will step up. They will see that my problem is not as big as I thought it was. But as educators, as board members, as concerned citizens, we have to say to our students, you're beautiful.
Yes.
We love you.
Yes.
And we want you to be the best that you can be. Because they're the future doctors, lawyers,
Right.
teachers, engineers. And if we don't prepare them today, who knows what the United States might look like tomorrow.
That's right. That's so true. I forgot to ask you, are you an Erie resident? Are you a transplant? Do you have family here in Erie?
I was born and raised in Erie, Pennsylvania.
How about the schools? Did you go to school here
I
in Erie?
attended Erie Public Schools, except for 2 years when I did go to St. James Roman Catholic School. I had a little exposure, but I graduated from Academy High School, the school on the hill.
Good.
I was born and raised on this estate. This is not a mistake, it's an estate.
Right.
And we have to think higher than that. I went to Wilberforce University, where I graduated with a degree in sociology, hours in criminology and psychology. I attended SUNY Fredonia. I have 21 credits toward my master's. I have numerous continuing education credits. And I'm certified as a child care director by the Pennsylvania Department of Public Welfare and PA Keys. I believe in children.
All right.
Children are the future.
They are.
The greatest love that a child can have, that a person can have, is to love themselves,
Yes. It's
to be
important.
proud of who they are, where they come from, and know that they can make a difference.
Okay, and where are you working now? Are you working now?
Yes, I am. I'm employed at the Martha King Center as the interim director for the child care program.
Wonderful. That was where I got my beginnings, in the daycare at King Center. I think we've had a great time here today, and we thank the audience so much for your attention, and we hope you'll get out and vote. If you're not registered, we hope you get out and register, but because we need your vote, we need your support. And again, I say Gwen Cooley for school board. She'll be the best candidate. And thank you so much for your time. Gwen, you want to?
I thank you, Sister Cynthia.
Thank you.
And I thank you, Community Access Media, for giving me the opportunity to be heard.